MJ, welcome back to the jam. We were just about to tackle that property revaluation problem. The goal is to figure out that transfer between the revaluation surplus and retained earnings. Before we start drawing it out, do you want to grind through this step by step, or is there one specific spot that's tripping you up? All right, let's get into it. First, we need to know what the depreciation was before any changes. We use the straight line method formula. So, we take the $400,000 cost from the start of the question and divide it by the 40-year life. That gives us $10,000 a year. Checking in, does that part make sense so far? Cool. Now, on October 1st, 20x5, the property gets revalued. The price tag changes, so the depreciation has to change too. We take that new $432,000 value and divide it by the 36 years of life left. That bumps our annual depreciation up to $12,000. See how that number jumped up from the original $10,000? Now we find the difference. This is what we call the excess depreciation. We take the new $12,000 charge and subtract the old $10,000 charge. That gives us an extra $2,000 of depreciation because of the revaluation. Ready to see the journal entry for this? Here is the final move. We are moving that $2,000 excess from the revaluation surplus into retained earnings. We debit the revaluation surplus because we are taking money out of that specific reserve. We credit retained earnings because we are putting it back into the general pile of profits. Does it make sense why we debit the surplus and credit the earnings? That's a super common thought, but check this out. Depreciation actually doesn't involve cash at all. It's just a way of spreading the cost of the property over time. Think of it like this. Because we said the building is worth more now, the math forces us to take a bigger depreciation hit, which makes our profits look smaller. To be fair to the company, we take that extra $2,000 out of that revaluation surplus pot, which is just a fancy account for that extra value we found, and slide it over to retained earnings. It's basically an internal transfer to make sure the profits available for dividends aren't unfairly punished just because we revalued the building. Does that help clear up why it's not a cash thing? Sweet, we nailed the logic. Here's a quick recap and some flashcards to keep this fresh in your brain. You feel pretty solid on this problem now, or do you want to double check any of those specific numbers again? You got it. Let's lay out exactly where every single digit came from so it is crystal clear. Everything in step 1 comes straight from the first sentence of your problem. Step 2 uses the update from October 20x5. Then step 3 and 4 just use the answers we calculated in those first 2 steps. Does seeing the map of where the numbers travel help it click better? Great question. In an exam, they won't always tell you, hey, do the transfer now. You've got to spot the triggers yourself. First, look for the phrase allowed transfer or company policy is to transfer. If you see those, it's 100% a signal to do exactly what we just did. Also, keep an eye on the dates. If you see a revaluation happening midway through an asset's life, like here, your brain should immediately ask, wait, did the depreciation just get more expensive? One more pro tip. Check if the question mentions revaluation surplus and retained earnings in the multiple choice options. If those accounts are paired up, they're testing this specific rule. Does that help you feel more confident about spotting this on a test?